Let's talk about something that could totally change how you use your computer. What if your AI wasn't just a chatbot you talk to, but more like a hands-on intern that actually does stuff for you? Well, it's called MiniMax Agent Desktop, and we're going to dive into what it can really do. You know the feeling, right? Your desktop is just a sea of icons, and your downloads folder, well, let's not even talk about it. You can ask your typical AI for advice, sure, but it can't actually do anything. It's like having a super smart assistant who's stuck behind a glass wall. But what if you could tear down that wall? Well, that's exactly the problem that MiniMax Agent Desktop is trying to solve. Think of it as that awesome intern who can actually, get its hands dirty, digitally speaking, and work with all the files right there on your computer. So what is this thing really? At its heart, it's a smart AI assistant that runs on your local machine. And that word local is the real game changer here. It means your private documents, your sensitive data, none of it ever gets uploaded to the cloud. It just works right there on your PC or Mac to organize your chaos, create new things, and even build whole websites from scratch. And don't worry, this isn't some old, clunky tech. It's running on the latest M2.2 model from MiniMax as of February 2026. What that actually means for you is that it's way faster, it can reason through problems much better, and it gives you more reliable results when you throw a really complicated task at it. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. MiniMax organizes all its skills into what it calls expert modes. These are basically specialized agents that are pros at specific jobs. You've got one for tidying up your messy folders, one for turning a bunch of documents into a quiz or a presentation. There's even one that builds websites. The new 2026 update added a code auditor, which is huge for developers. And if you're a power user, you can even build your very own custom experts. All right, that all sounds great on paper, but what does it actually look like when you use it? Let's walk through a couple of real-world examples from the source material to see how this thing goes from a simple command to a totally finished product. So first up, the classic problem, that one folder that has everything in it. In this case, the user just points the agent at a folder with over 200 random files and gives it a simple instruction. Now, the AI doesn't just go rogue and start moving things. First, it scans everything, and then it actually proposes a new folder structure for you to approve. And crucially, it creates backups before it does anything. The result? A perfectly organized set of subfolders and a neat little report telling you exactly what it did. Now let's kick it up a notch with something way more complex. This time, the user gives it a whole project folder. We're talking code, 3D model files, PDFs, the whole shebang, and just tells it to build a product landing page. The agent is actually smart enough to analyze the code to figure out what the project is about. It intelligently crops images to fit a web design, and it even pulls together a bill of materials from the documents. And the final output is a live working website you can click around in, plus all the source code so you can tweak it later. This really shows you it's not just an organizer, it's a creator. This table really puts the speed of this thing into perspective. Cleaning up 200 files, just 4 minutes. Building that entire website we just talked about, only 8 minutes. And look at this knowledge digestion task. It can take a super dense PDF and turn it into a quiz, a mind map, and a PowerPoint deck in the time it takes you to go make a cup of coffee. Even the new code auditor finds and fixes bugs in about 6 minutes. These times, thanks to that M2.2 model, show it's not just powerful, it's also seriously fast. So you're probably wondering, how in the world does it handle these big, complex tasks without you having to guide it every single step of the way? Well, the secret sauce is a process that developers call an agentic loop. It's really what makes this a true AI agent, not just a simple chatbot. It all comes down to this 4-step cycle that just repeats itself. First, it plans, breaking your big command down into tiny, manageable steps. Then it acts, running those steps in a safe, sandboxed environment so it can't accidentally mess up your system. Next, and this is super important, it observes the results to see if it worked or if there were any errors. If something did go wrong, it moves to the last step, correct. It figures out what the problem was and tries a completely different approach, all by itself. This loop is the engine behind its autonomy. And that ability to work on its own, right on your machine, is what's really hitting home with people. This bit of feedback from a tester pretty much says it all. Having an AI that can work across your entire computer without you having to worry about your privacy by uploading things to the cloud, that is a massive, massive win. So that brings us to the big question. With all this power, who is this tool actually for? And what are the downsides? Let's break down the final verdict based on what we've seen. Look, no tool is perfect, and it's important to see both sides. The pros are huge. You get total local file access, it can handle any kind of file you throw at it, and it has that amazing self-correction loop. But on the other side of the coin, building your own custom experts is gonna take some learning. There's no native app for Linux users yet, which is a bummer, and the free version caps you at 10 tasks a day, so heavy users might hit that wall pretty quick. So when you weigh those pros and cons, a few key groups really stand out. Developers can use it to check their code and build project sites. Students can use it to turn research papers into actual study guides. Data analysts can have it whip up reports from spreadsheets. But honestly, it's for pretty much anyone who is just tired of all the boring, repetitive digital tasks and wants to automate them away. And that really brings us to the final big idea here. Tools like MiniMax Agent Desktop are a huge shift away from the cloud-based, chat-only AIs we're used to. This is something more personal, more deeply integrated, and way more powerful, living right on our own computers. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Is this kind of local, autonomous AI the real future of how we get our work done?